Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. I am Patrick Daugherty, joined by Denny Carter. I know you're tired of hearing this, but is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Not legally allowed to say. Wish that we were. But it's going to be a good show. We're going to break down all the goings-ons from Week 13, the waiver wire implications for Week 14. But Denny, I had this thought first before the show, as one does. I'm just blowing my nose a few times. And it's because of the kids, Denny.
Yeah.
And I've gotten every virus but COVID-19 this fall, and it's just my son. I mean, he's been snotting for I think literally 3 weeks straight.
It's incredible, like the length of time a kid is sick. My daughter has had a stuffy nose since 2018.
Yeah, so
I mean,
exaggeration. I'm assuming.
I will say that I'm glad that she's now old enough where I don't have to use that device, that not to gross people out.
No, I know what device you're talking about.
What you got to do when you're a parent.
The nose Frida.
You nose Frida. Yeah, and look it up, folks, if you have any questions. I really don't want to gross folks out, but that is, and first of all, it's a blessing. It's a great device. I love the fact that you can clear your kid's nose before they can blow their nose. But thank goodness when they reach an age where they can grab a tissue and just clear their own nose.
Yeah, the nose Frida is shockingly disgusting from our friends.
Oh, it's an absolute horror show.
Yeah, aren't there some things for what are those things for adults? Those like sinus cleansers?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say no doubt in my mind you've used one.
Yeah,
try to explain what are those?
Yeah, as a yuppie in the suburbs, you're actually required to have at least one in Maryland. So yeah, you have some distilled water, you warm it up, you make sure it's clean, because what you don't want is some dirty water going straight to your brain, and then you keel over. But it goes through your nasal passages and comes out again. Not to be gross, but wow, it makes a difference. It is nothing like blowing your nose.
What is that supposed to accomplish? Just clearing you out?
Well, it clears you. It gets to places where you can't get with a tissue. It also, Pat, and you have to read up on this. Okay, it also cleans out parts of your nose that you can't reach. In other words, like it makes it so that the illness doesn't stick around longer than it has to.
What if some of that stuff's supposed to be up there? What if it's like some of my defense mechanisms or something? Am I blowing out antibodies or something?
I mean, if you're that concerned, then I would just go ahead and not wash your hands anymore.
It's real quick. By the way, do you blow your nose like a man? By the way, you're supposed to blow your nose so hard that you get dizzy. That's what I usually do.
I'm actually. You'll be shocked, and the listeners will be shocked to hear this. I'm a very timid nose blower.
I get violent because I grew up with bad, like undiagnosed allergies. So my nose is just running all the time. So I'm a very, very serious nose blower.
I don't take it seriously at all. I mean, I come from a long line of men who grab not two tissues, but 3 tissues.
Oh my gosh.
Which is a huge waste, by the way.
It's a huge, huge waste. You're killing the planet.
And 3 tissues because the power of the blow will shred one. It'll shred 2. The third one is the one that keeps it all in. I just need the one. I just need the one because I just go.
No, you're supposed to blow hard enough that you get dizzy, Denny. And I guess, too, if you have the nasal thing, you probably also have a water pick, I'm assuming.
No, oh goodness, no.
I thought you flossed like 4 times a day or something.
4 times a day. You think I'm part of Big Floss?
I do think you're part of Big Floss because I know you're not part of Big Dentist, so you do everything you can to avoid Big Dentist. I thought.
Well, I floss to spite my dentist.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you show up. Yeah, they're always so disappointed when you don't bleed. But you thought I was gonna bleed.
And they take out increasingly large and sharp tools and pound on your gums, and they go, "Why isn't this guy bleeding?" Because they want you to bleed, and they go, you haven't done a good job. But I've told you this before. My gums are the Derrick Henry of gums. They cannot be destroyed.
Yeah, if you don't bleed, the dentist gets on a walkie-talkie. He's like, "We're gonna need another dental assistant in here."
Yeah,
I know you said you floss well, Patrick, but yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, bring in the pickaxe, please.
Yeah, so we love our dentists, don't we? I just absolutely love our dentists. They're not just a constant scam, ripping us off, bleeding us dry of all of our money.
Bleeding us literally and financially.
Yes, literally and financially. Literally and financially, Denny. Jimmy Garoppolo doing a little bit of that to the San Francisco 49ers. Where what a surprise. The Jimmy G rug gets pulled again. I mean, Jimmy G, maybe it's the worst injury luck of anyone in recent NFL history. The torn ACL in 2018. I think the shoulder in 2020.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was in 2020.
Sure.
Now the broken foot. It's such a weird saga. You went from being the savior to then like the missed injury 18, then the Super Bowl in 2019, then the missed injury 2020, then like the kind of like sort of mentor 2021 where he somehow almost makes the Super Bowl again. Then of course the trade that never happened. He's back. They commit to him again. Now he's hurt again.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the fallout for the 49ers offense who right now they're starting – I've always hated this phrase, but Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick in the draft, Brock Purdy,
yeah,
and his mean, or Josh Johnson, who of course knows the system from, I believe this is his 9th tour of duty in a Kyle Shanahan offense. I mean, just what is this? Is it as simple as kind of what unfolded on Sunday? Brock Purdy is going to be throwing shorter. He's going to be checking out even more than Jimmy Garoppolo. It was Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk who got the scores on Sunday. His interception was an underthrown ball to Brandon Ayuk. Is this even like more limited Jimmy Garoppolo,
right,
or is there something more here?
Yeah, I think you hit on the head there. Purdy was fine. 67% completion rate against the Dolphins, 210 yards, two scores. He was passable. I think maybe like a poor man's Garoppolo. I think this is real bad for Brandon Ayuk.
It's real, by the way, because the poor man's Jimmy Garoppolo is Jimmy Garoppolo. So being a poor man's, yikes.
I think that's just Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs.
Come on, man! He beats Aaron Rodgers every time. So
that's true. But what do you say about that? Anyway, yeah. So it's bad for Ayuk, bad for Kittle. Everything's bad for Kittle. And good. It's good for Debo. It's great for Christian McCaffrey.
I think it's definitely good for Debo, by the way. Yeah.
A lot. I mean, he had 10 targets. When's the last time? I mean, Debo's been like a shaky wide receiver 3 for 3 months now. I think that changes now with a guy with a quarterback who will be more apt to go to short area targets. So Debo has new life. Christian McCaffrey with Elijah Mitchell out. I have the stats here. If you hold on 1 second. Played 82% of the snaps, ran a route on 80% of the dropbacks, caught 8 of 10 targets for 80 yards and a touchdown. So we are back. This time it counts for Christian McCaffrey. We are back to a monster fantasy workload. And with Purdy under center, I think his prospects are looking pretty good.
Yeah, so no brainer good for Christian McCaffrey. I do think it's good, like you said, for Debo Samuel too. They're going to need his slashing skill set a lot more now than they had this season. I mean, there's the chance that Brock Purdy's just so bad that it's bad for everyone, that the offense becomes less functional. That maybe Josh Johnson who made some surprisingly strong 2021 starts for the Jets. So on the whole, I mean, it's
the Ravens.
Yeah, that's right.
Josh Johnson had 2 fantasy blow-up spots last year in spot starts for the Ravens and the Jets, both as third stringers. So I actually will say with Josh Johnson, he should be picked up in Superflex leagues for sure. Like I know obviously Purdy will, but like if you can't get Purdy or you don't really need him, you might as well get Josh Johnson because he has a pretty good chance of seeing snaps if Purdy struggles.
He can almost see snaps maybe as early as this week. I feel like
possibly. I do think that I would be surprised if Purdy doesn't get at least 1 start, but yeah.
Yeah, you would. I mean, he was the guy on the roster. He was the guy that apparently was good enough to earn backup duties. So, yeah, I guess I should not write him off so quickly. And he was good enough to beat the Miami Dolphins on Sunday.
He was.
So, but they're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. A fairly tough test. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins' weakness on defense is certainly the secondary. And so they really attack that weakness. That it's why at least one of us on this podcast had a lot of Jimmy G, Kittle, Ayuk stacks going, and didn't work out entirely.
You want to know a horrifying omission is I think the first week all season I didn't get to play any DFS.
Wow.
I was trying to prep for our hit on the Fantasy Football Happy Hour, which I thought went quite well.
It did. I thought it went well too. So what you have to do is you have to stay up late on Saturday night just poring over data instead of having a good time with your friends.
Well, I would normally be doing that, but we had a neighborhood dinner, Denny, and I had 2 beers on Saturday night.
Well, man,
So
good nighty night.
Washed out. We talked about option A and option B under center for the 49ers post Jimmy Garoppolo. Denny, could there be an option C? Baker Mayfield waived by the Carolina Panthers. I found the whole time as I wrote in my column, it's like the Panthers knew they shouldn't go down this road. Like they waited so long to make the trade to the point where they gave up basically nothing. A 2024 fifth round pick. It's like they knew it would be bad for them. They still did it. He comes in by many metrics, the worst quarterback in the league. By EPA per play, he has been the worst quarterback in the league this year. Baker Mayfield, worse than Davis Mills, worse than Zach Wilson, worse than Carson Wentz and Matthew Stafford. I'm going in order of the worst EPAs, by the way. Matt Ryan, yikes. Not a good year for veteran quarterbacks on their second teams. But it's like we're going to hear the narrative all week. If anyone can fix Baker Mayfield, it's that Kyle Shanahan. Am I right? Am I right? And so we're going to commercial right after this. Then we'll answer. And then they never answer because they don't want to answer.
No.
Kyle Shanahan can fix
Why
Baker
would
Mayfield. Is he going to end up in the 49ers, and will he be fixed by Kyle Shanahan, Denny?
No. There's no way that he's going to end up with San Francisco. I don't even know what the interest would be. He's been irredeemably bad. Like, it's not just that he's on a bad team. It's not that he struggled with certain kinds of throws where he was good intermediate throws but bad downfield or vice versa. He was just terrible, completely. And I know you love this word, completely exposed.
It is my favorite sports
with Baker Mayfield. And I never watched a game, but I will say with Baker Mayfield, I think that the limitations that he has are so clear. They're almost painful. The limitations on arm strength, on sideline throws. I mean,
forget it.
When Baker Mayfield throws a sideline ball, the only thing you can think, pick six.
I kind of coined with Baker. I kind of created the meme. I think like if no one more confidently steps into an interception than Baker Mayfield.
It was a really I
because like his arm strength limitations were like he knows the throw he has to make, so he's like, I'm just gonna make this throw now, and then his body can't do it.
It's really something. Also, he's not fast. He's not quick. He's not anything.
He's not smart, he's not nice. He's not. He actually seems to be very intelligent.
He does have. Here's the thing. He makes great commercials. I appreciate those commercials, and thank goodness for Baker Mayfield that he cashed in when he could.
He's a real deal good actor. Like he's actually very good on the commercials. I kind of
think so.
Yeah, he's like a real deal good actor.
My question is, has a worse professional athlete ever had so many high dollar endorsements? I say no.
Probably not. No. Does Zach Wilson have any endorsements yet?
No, I don't.
Doesn't seem like he did. Talk about someone probably needs to work on their personality. The Jets are already like making memes with the backup quarterback. They all showed up in Mighty Ducks jerseys. Literally 2 games into the Mike White era, and they're like already treating him like their savior.
That's tough. That's tough. Here's how I know Zach Wilson's bad at PR. I've never heard Zach Wilson talk.
Yeah, I have. The only time I have is when he was saying that he didn't feel bad.
Oh, that's right.
About letting the defense. I don't know. No,
that's it. I mean, how have I not heard Zach Wilson talk? It's incredible. Get out there, man.
That is crazy. Baker Mayfield, by the way, too. Like sometimes, every once in a while, the boomers just have a point with like cliched, lazy sports analysis. And he's not a winner. He's just not a winner. He's not a winner. And at the NFL, too, I think maybe the biggest indictment of Baker Mayfield this year is like PJ Walker came in and immediately revived DJ Moore. I'm like, man, if PJ Walker even can revive DJ Moore, like he was a total non-entity under like Sam Darnold revived DJ Moore. I don't know. But if anyone can do it, it's Kyle Shanahan. Am I right, folks?
I know you're being facetious, but I actually don't even know if Kyle Shanahan is good for quarterbacks, but
no, he is. He is. He made CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins win a few games. I really do actually think he is. He made Matt Ryan an MVP, for instance.
Oh my goodness.
Brian Hoyer and the Browns that one year. He got like Josh Gordon, almost
Oh,
2,000 yards.
that's honestly that Josh Gordon season was the highlight of my fantasy life. So
the
I
highlight of
do
Kyle
remember that.
Shanahan's life. So, fortunately, we're sticking with quarterback injuries. Lamar Jackson is a knee injury. It's going to have him out, quote, days to weeks. We don't really know what it means other than it's season ending. They're going with Tyler Huntley in the interim, the Ravens. Tyler Huntley had some pretty good spot starts last year, but we used the phrase poor man's earlier. He's basically a poor man's Lamar Jackson. He locks on to Mark Andrews. He has a dual threat. It's not as potent as Lamar Jackson's dual threat, and he can't win games like single-handedly the way Lamar Jackson's dual threat. The Ravens are 8-4. Are they doomed to Tyler Huntley? Is Tyler Huntley on the QB2 radar, et cetera?
Yeah.
What's the situation in Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, I am fairly bullish on Huntley. For those who don't have a top 10 quarterback right now and are kind of scraping by with the, I don't know, Kenny Pickett's of the world, like that kind of darkness, the streaming darkness, then Tyler Huntley is your guy. I think you should get aggressive on him. Last year in 4 starts for Baltimore, Tyler Huntley had 9.5. He averaged 9.5 rushing attempts, which is huge, obviously, for his fantasy prospects against the Broncos in Week 13. Over the final 3 quarters of the game, Huntley had 41 yards and a touchdown on 10 rushes. 5 of those rushes were designed runs, which is important. He was, pretty good as a passer too. He had an adjusted completion rate of 84.3%.
Pretty good is a bit of a stretch. He wasn't bad though.
Well, what it is, he takes high percentage short throws.
But he throws to Mark Andrews like 30 times a game.
He does. And so I don't want this to sound like Lamar slander, because I would never. But Mark Andrews doesn't lose a whole lot on
and you're sued for libel
with Huntley under center. And what I mean by that is Huntley just peppers Andrews at 30% of Huntley's 2021 attempts went to Andrews. So he'll be fine. I mean, as fine as he has been, which is, not great. He hasn't had a blow up game in 2.5 months. So we're still waiting on that. But you're still starting him confidently with Huntley.
Huntley's final 5 appearances of 2021, he cleared 40 yards rushing in all 5 of them. That's pretty. I mean, 40. It doesn't sound like a lot, but those points add up very quickly.
That's a touchdown. That's a passing touchdown.
A really, really nice floor and fan. He cleared 70 twice. I mean, maybe the unspoken thing, maybe why we shouldn't have super high expectations for him as a passer is because just the dearth of targets here, and kind of like he's going to lock on to Mark Andrews just by necessity. The Packers catch a lot of heat for the way they did not address their receiver core. I mean, my goodness. I guess the Ravens in their mind was, we used the 2021 first round pick. Then that's the meme. Like, well, my job here is done. And next thing you know, Demarcus Robinson is in waiver wire columns.
Right. Demarcus Robinson, who couldn't get 1 target in Kansas City, is getting 10 targets in some games. Yeah.
But yeah, the rushing floor will be enough to get Tyler Huntley in the mix. They're playing the Steelers this week, which the Steelers' pass defense just bleeding fantasy points. That was before TJ Watt returned. Yeah. It's a little bit different dynamic now, but still a very, very bad secondary.
Yeah, TJ Watt definitely makes a difference. If you look at the numbers, just all around, pressure on the quarterback, yards per attempt, everything down the line, like TJ Watt makes a world of difference. It's an okay matchup, definitely not good.
We can work with it, but it's not like attackable. Let's put it that way. Fortunately, a lot of injuries to talk about this week. Ken Walker departed after only 3 carries against the Rams. He had 36 yards in those 3 carries. Seemed like it was going to be a pretty big day. He has a jammed ankle. Quote unquote. Classic Pete Carroll. He brings out a word we haven't used for injuries since like the 90s. That's jammed. I remember jamming my ankle, when I was my 7th grade basketball coach in 1999. Like, yeah, it's jammed. He has no idea. He just knows that it's hurt. And that's kind of where we are with Pete Carroll. He was called questionable initially in the game, Ken Walker. He didn't get the immediate rule out. Then he was ruled out at halftime. And then DJ Dallas hurt his ankle. And it wasn't – so they had to rush someone back into the game because Tony Jones got shaken up. Right. And they rushed back DJ Dallas. Even though he was labeled doubtful, maybe that's just more about protecting Ken Walker's health. But, like, when they had to force someone back in, it wasn't Ken Walker. He's, at best, questionable for Week 14. who should we be at? Travis Homer missed week 13 with an illness and a knee injury. Tony Jones is just bad, Denny.
Yeah.
What's
So
the situation?
I'm not targeting Tony Jones at all. I think it's either DJ Dallas or Travis Homer. Homer was out with an illness.
He was also listed with a knee, but I think he was out with the illness.
Yeah,
kind of
right. And so you'll have to see his, track his practice participation. I guess if I were forced to choose, if someone were holding me outside a helicopter and saying, choose one, I would say, why are you taking this measure?
Sounds like good content, actually. We should send a few emails.
You're going to have me on a helicopter next Monday.
Well, hashtag, we make it a whole thing, hashtag dangling Denny.
Wow. Oh my goodness. This has legs, folks. Yeah, this is happening.
Denny, we're dangling Denny. Which Seahawks running back, Denny? But you don't feel so smart now, do you?
Don't pee yourself. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. So I
just realized what you said.
I would scream, DJ Dallas, let me go. So yeah, because he does profile, I think, more as an early down guy. Now Homer will, is a pass catching specialist. I think he will take over as that pass catching back when he returns, if he returns this week. But so I would prioritize Dallas. I think Homer should be rostered, especially obviously if Walker's going to miss more than a week. But I think that you can kind of ignore Tony Jones.
So we don't know what's going on with DJ Dallas's health either. Like it's pretty messed up situation. I feel like they could maybe almost have to sign somebody. But DJ Dallas, he did come back in, even if he was listed doubtful. He did come back in and play.
So you never see that.
No, you really don't. I mean, they were down spectacularly bad.
It's actually amazing.
I think they might have let Tony Jones play through a concussion because they were so low, and he was kind of like dazed after a big hit, like right after DJ Dallas was hurt. And we're like the independent spotters, like, oh man, if I rule them out, they don't have a single running back.
They literally are gonna have to put DK Metcalf in the backfield.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on.
So just real quick, the numbers from the Seahawks Week 13 game against the Rams. DJ Dallas led the backfield in routes, in carries, while Tony Jones saw 4 targets to lead the backfield. So there's just nothing really like inspiring here. And actually, I think that against the Rams, this led to a pass heavy attack. I think they could continue in that direction if Walker misses this week. So it's great for Geno. It's great for Metcalf and Lockett.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the untold thing. Like they've tried to keep a hard cap basically on Geno's volume, but by necessity they had to expand yesterday, and he answered with his best game of the year, 367 yards, only a second 3-touchdown game, which is actually through the air, pretty surprising stat. Or Geno, you gotta hand it to him. I did not hand it to him earlier in the year, and seems to be quite good.
Like every elitist, you laughed.
I laughed at Geno and I laughed at Jeff Wilson, and look where that got me.
The Geno Hive knew better.
They did. Boy, did they ever. Man, they were upset. They were very, very upset. I was trying to think of a segue, and I could not. Speaking of upset.
You know what else is upsetting?
Yeah. The Jets backfield, Denny. It's actually not it's actually quite positive, the Jets backfield. Zonovan, better known as Bam Knight, reached 100 yards on the ground against the Vikings. He's cleared 100 yards from scrimmage each of the past 2 weeks. He had 69 yards rushing in week 12. That's a total that he's reached both weeks. Michael Carter's only reached 69 yards on the ground one time all season. Zonovan Knight providing the best non-Breece Hall rushing the Jets have seen all season. He was added in a lot of leagues last week, but he's still under 50% rostered this week. Even with Michael Carter maybe coming back, it's to the point where we have to really, really be aggressively targeting Zonovan Knight at this point, don't we?
I think so. And I do just a word about the Jets this past week. The Jets ran 85 offensive snaps against the Vikings. So, that's Flacco-esque volume. That's what we were seeing in the first 3 weeks of the season. And that will inflate numbers, I think, to the point where guys will start looking a little more appealing than they are. Now, Zonovan Knight led the backfield with 47 snaps on those out of 85. He was almost he split with Ty Johnson on pass routes. Ty Johnson ran a couple more routes, but Ty Johnson saw 7 targets to 5 targets for Knight. So he basically got like half the passing down stuff and almost all of the early down stuff, where James Robinson only saw 4 carries. So I think that his role is pretty safe as long as Michael Carter is out. My fear is, and my thought is going forward, if Michael Carter comes back this week, it's a mess. Like I actually have trouble like telling folks what to do with any of them, with Ty Johnson, with Carter, with Zonovan Knight. I would think that Zonovan Knight's performance over the past 2 weeks, he's been good, like yards per route run and yards before contact and everything. Like he's actually been pretty good. Maybe the team is going to lean into him as the lead back, but Michael Carter is not going to just sit on the sideline.
I don't know. He might. He's not. They don't like him. They don't think he's good. We've had this debate on it. They just don't think he's good.
No, obviously they have an issue with him. Yeah,
he might not be. But I misspoke. Zonovan Knight did not have 100 yards rushing against the Vikings. He had 90. But I mean, it was more yards than Michael Carter had on the ground in any game all season. I didn't realize the play volume thing, though. That's a really interesting point. I did not realize the Jets ran 80 something plays.
Right. So yeah, and just if we could go down the list a little bit, like you have let's see, you have Elijah Moore, 45 routes, right? So he saw 6 targets.
So I'm sure he had like 90 yards, right?
No, he did not. He had two catches, but yeah, I mean, so his 6 targets on 45 routes really poor. Corey Davis saw 9 targets, but again, he ran 46 routes. So there's so much volume for the Jets. That's not going to happen every week.
Zonovan did catch 5 balls.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he will be the lead back. I think Michael Carter, maybe with nothing else, was like take over the quote Ty Johnson role.
Yeah.
I just think they're not satisfied at all with Michael Carter's early down performance, and kind of why would you go away? But football coaches are constantly doing self-defeating things. So we shall see. Speaking of self-defeat, it would be self-defeating not to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Just a reminder, if you don't have the NBC Sports Predictor app, go download it now. The contests are free and easy to play, and you have a shot to win thousands this weekend by predicting what will happen in college football, on the PGA Tour, and in the World Cup. There's also $100,000 up for grabs by guessing the outcome between the Dolphins and Chargers in our Sunday Night 7 contest. And also, don't forget, download the Rotoworld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in your app store today. Denny, Thursday is a day many people forget even exists because it's so far before Sunday. But there was a game on Thursday between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. And James Cook went nuts in it. He outtouched Devin Singletary 20-13. He outgained him 105-51 the yards from scrimmage department. Is this a changing of the guard? Is this like a one-game, like weird game script deployment type thing? How in the world? Do we ever know how to assess the Bills' backfield?
Look, I hate to say, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, and I never do that. You know that I have a strict policy against back padding.
Well, you can't reach your back for one,
right? But I'm going to do it, and I'm going to say that I wrote up James Cook in last week's waiver wire column as a stash who could go off down the stretch because he's been good in every facet. I'm like every peripheral stat that I looked at last week, James Cook was popping, top 5, top 10. And, he showed, I think he showed that he can be a productive back, even though he's not going to, be wildly used. He's not going to see 20 touches in that backfield. And Singletary scored the touchdown last week. He's sort of the closer. Like Singletary looked to be in the closer role. So congrats to those who started him and got a little bit fortunate there at the end.
You got a tutter
against the Patriots, and that's really what it comes down to. But I do think that Cook has kind of forced the Bills to acknowledge, hey, like this guy can really help us. He's a way better pass catcher. Like I should say, way more productive than Singletary, who we've said on the show many times. Singletary, for some reason, it doesn't make sense, but Singletary is one of the least productive pass catchers year in and year out. This is not like a 1 week sample. This is not even a whole season. This is a 2-year sample of Singletary being bad as a pass catcher. So yeah, James Cook needs to be way more rostered. I think he's around 50%. I think he can be started as maybe a flex in 12 teams.
It might be trending that way. And yet Devin Singletary, it just does not make it. He's so inefficient as a pass catcher. And this is an offense where you should be efficient as a pass catching running back. The defenses have to send so much attention to the receiver core's way and even account for Dawson Knox making big plays. And it's like when they pass to Devin Singletary, it's like giving the defense a play off. And Singletary's just kind of been in the Michael Carter zone forever.
Yeah.
Where like he's been like the best back on the roster, but they've never, ever been satisfied with him. They keep taking shots at upgrading him. Maybe James Cook just wasn't ready, but he's a far superior pass catcher. He seems definitely springier and more explosive too. And, the Bills are 9-3. It's the time of season where the playoffs are fast approaching. Maybe they're trying to find out when everything's on the line, if they can rely on James Cook. And, if they need a big play out of the backfield in the playoffs, are they really going to get it from Devin Singletary? So I think we're going to see more of an extended look for James Cook. They're playing the Jets this week, a pretty big divisional game. The Jets beat the Bills a few weeks ago. But I think there's probably something there with the James Cook, and it wasn't just a 1 week pop-up.
Just to give you an idea of how good he's been as a pass catcher, although he's been a good rusher as well, but as a pass catcher, only Derrick Henry entering week 13, only Derrick Henry had a higher yards per route run among running backs than James Cook.
Seems like maybe they should throw a few more screens to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that seems to be something that always works.
And he fumbled on a screen last week, but it was after he ran 70 yards. So it had nothing to do with the screen.
If Mike Vrabel could ignore the results and focus on the process just one time, I think that Derrick Henry would see 8 targets a game.
I would just throw him a screen every second in 9 and just tell the defense I'm doing it. Yeah, we're throwing him a screen here.
Why not?
See what happens.
Who's going to, with a head of steam, who's tackling him?
No. Yeah, maybe they'd be scared. So
I would.
I was scared, Denny, that DeAndre Swift would leave me with another 0 in week 13, but he did not. He out-snapped Jamal Williams, played over 51% of the snaps, tied a season high for touches with 18, went over 100 yards from scrimmage for the first time also since the opener. He got a touchdown. He brought the Lions down to the 1 yard line. And then instead of doing their thing where they immediately get him off the field so Jamal Williams can come in and score, they went hurry up and let DeAndre Swift get the touchdown. I mean, it was just frankly a pitiful performance from the Jaguars defense. Like that kind of can't be overlooked. It was just straight up pitiful. But what we've been waiting for months with DeAndre Swift, the first week, coincidentally, where he's off the injury report altogether, are we back to top 20 DeAndre Swift season?
Yeah. And on Thursday's show, we were sort of sounding the alarms on this and saying, hey, like he's healthy. He saw some good usage, high value touches, 3 high value touches on Thanksgiving Day against the Bills. I know it was Jamal Williams, of course, scoring all the touchdowns and everything. But
scored
if you could,
five touchdowns on Thanksgiving for Jamal
right,
Williams.
He has more touchdowns than 17 NFL teams. He actually has as many touchdowns as the Broncos combined.
He has double the amount of passing touchdowns as Russell Wilson has. So,
right, which is amazing.
Yeah. So
the analytics wouldn't tell you that.
No.
Swift, really, really good workload, 18 touches on including 6 targets against the Jags. I think that even without, touchdown volume going for, even without getting that goal line work, okay, like we can kind of write that off, right? I think that he's still, a top 20 option. The thing is, he's really efficient, and he always has been because he's really good. It's just the health has never really held up for a sustained period of time. But if you have him, hopefully you started him last week. You're starting him going forward for sure.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the targets. He had 49 receiving yards. That was a new season high, and all this happened in a game where the Lions were in total control. They were up 20-3 midway through the second quarter, up 17-3 early in the second quarter. So kind of a game where they could have just given Jamal Williams 25 empty carries and been on their way. They did not do that. Jamal Williams got only 11 carries. They stayed aggressive. And when they're aggressive, DeAndre Swift is a much bigger weapon than Jamal Williams. So really, really was a very, very encouraging game for DeAndre Swift. He's back. This time it counts.
This time it counts.
This time he's not immediately tweaking his knee in week 14 against the Vikings. Please, God. No.
Oh, God, please no.
Denny Cameron Akers, Rams, they're just like an evaluation mode. They're just throwing stuff against the wall. They gave Brandon Powell 7 touches against the Seahawks. They gave Tutu Atwell 6 touches. Like, seemingly just making up as they're going along, seeing who might be part of the plans next year. They went back to Cam Akers. He out-touched Kyren Williams 18-3.
Right.
It seems like it changes every week, the usage in the Rams backfield, but pretty decisive for Cam Akers in week 13. What do we think this means?
Well, I think this is more a game script issue than anything else, because the Rams were able to play from ahead or play even with the Seahawks for much of this game. If you look at the kinds of snaps that Kyren Williams saw compared to Cam Akers, you have Kyren Williams seeing all the 2-minute drill snaps, seeing 8 of 9 third down snaps, but it was Akers who got 38 early down snaps to 5 early down snaps for Kyren Williams. Cam Akers also saw the lone goal line snap for LA. So I think that basically, if the Rams can stay in the game, which is definitely not every week, the Cam Akers can see, maybe a 15 touch workload. Still will be touchdown dependent, of course. But I guess he should probably be picked up in hopes that the Rams can stay tight with someone. Who do the Rams play this week?
Well, it's funny. It's a short week, and they're playing. I hate to inform you, they have a great matchup. They're playing the Las Vegas Raiders.
They're playing the Raiders. They're playing the Raiders. So it is a good spot. But you will have to sort of take the leap of faith and hope that the Rams can play even with the Raiders, which I think they can.
Jeff Bezos thought he was getting a good game in week 4. It's the defending Super Bowl champions. What could go wrong on Amazon Prime this Thursday evening?
It's the worst, technically the worst defending Super Bowl champions of all time.
Yeah, and one of the worst Super Bowl winning teams of all time. Let's be real. I mean, they were a good team last year, but like in the pantheon of Super Bowl winners, people are gonna be like, those 21 Rams. They were a feisty bunch.
Last year's Rams, they had 5 good players.
Yeah, they did, and in their defense, they utilized them quite well.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had Stafford, Kupp, Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and OBJ. That's it. And
Andrew Whitworth, whose retirement seems to was like the house, like what proved it to be the house of cards.
Yeah, that does seem to have hurt them quite bad.
That was real bad. Denny, NBC corporate, NBC legal, they won't stop texting me. They won't stop bombarding me with messages and warnings that if we don't talk about Greg Dulcich this week, there will be consequences. So the company is demanding it. Greg Dulcich, more talk. Speaking of this time, it counts. I hear it does this time with Greg Dulcich.
Yeah, I mean, folks, here's what they don't know, Pat, is that Greg Dulcich led the Broncos offense in first read targets this week against the Ravens. Okay, that is per my Slack conversation with our own Pat Kareem.
I mean, you gotta have gotten this from Kareem.
I said, give me a sicko Dulcich stat, and he did. So there you go. Led the team, and I covered the game, the Broncos Ravens game. Scintillating.
Sorry about that, by the way.
Yeah,
someone would just get Sunday ticket.
Cursed your name 15 times during that game, but yeah, but it was clear that Russell Wilson was zeroing in on Dulcich early in that game. They obviously got away from it. They started to establish a run in the second half because they were up by a whopping 6 points on the Ravens, or not 9 points at one point. Anyway, you get the idea. But Dulcich had 6 catches for 85 yards, including a 30-yard reception. His snap rate was really strong. 23 routes on 27 dropbacks for Russell Wilson. So, with Cortland Sutton's hamstring injury, if Sutton is out, that opens up, I guess, a few more targets, not a ton, but a few more. I think Judy and Dulcich become pretty interesting there.
2 of the past 3 weeks for Russell Wilson, by the way. When we were talking about Greg Dulcich, I was perusing Russell Wilson stats. 2 of the past 3 weeks, he's completed. So against the Raiders in week 11 and against the Ravens in week 13. He was very bad against the Panthers in week 12. But against the Raiders and Panthers, both games, he completed over 77% of his passes, averaged over 8 yards per attempt, and threw 0 interceptions, and somehow also threw 0 touchdowns.
It's remarkable.
It is what is as bad as Russ has been. some of this has to be coaching. Like this is
for
crazy.
the first time, right? For the first time yesterday, it sort of dawned on me that, I mean, it's fun to dunk on Russ and the Broncos and everything because they're just such a disaster. But it dawned on me that he's actually not playing terribly.
He's not playing great. Like he's fallen off, but like this isn't like Matt Ryan.
No, it's a complete system-wide failure, especially on offense. Only on offense because their defense is really good.
Yeah, I mean, they could seriously. They're 3-9. They could quite easily be 9-3.
They could listen if they had even a passable offense. Okay, if they had, I don't know. I'm trying to think here. Like the offense of like the Browns offense combined with the Broncos defense, that's a playoff team.
But this is the Broncos' loss. They lost by 1 point to the Seahawks, 9 to the Raiders, 3 to the Colts, 3 to the Chargers, 7 to the Titans, 6 to the Raiders, 13 to the Panthers was their worst loss of the season, and then 1 to the Ravens. This is like the ultimate horror coin flip season. And those are the kind of seasons where coaching make a huge difference. And
yeah,
you want to stay patient. You don't want to be hair trigger. They've got to make a coaching change. Like they've got to. This is like why retread coaching hires. They got to just bring in an established coach. And
I actually think you're right there. By the way, I just saw an update. Cortland Sutton is listed as day to day. They declared him out pretty quickly, so I think that we're gonna see a week without Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, it's also like why push the envelope at this point?
Right. That too.
The season is over, so I doubt Cortland Sutton plays this week. Denny, someone we have not talked about, I believe, on the show all year, someone who got some summer buzz, someone I drafted in a lot of leagues, to be frank. I don't know if I'm outing myself as a noob. Nico Collins. Kind of like the summer profile. Again, this was like the 15th, 16th round. All right, folks. So I'm not like real draft equity into this. But Nico Collins, he's finally coming on. Brandin Cooks missed week 13, which helped. But is Nico Collins shaping up as an ad, Denny?
Yeah, I think Brandin Cooks sort of quiet quitting on the Texans.
He is. I mean, I don't even know you could accuse him of quiet quitting. It's kind of more just like overt quitting.
It's moderately loud quitting.
Yeah.
and they honestly, you got to hand it to him. I think it's
a quiet quit. This would be a good time to do it.
Yeah, and so Collins has 26 targets over his past 3 games. This is such a Texans stat line here. With Kyle Allen under center this past week, he had 10 targets, Pat. That's a lot. That's a lot of targets. Big target share. 35 yards on 3 catches.
Maybe we shouldn't have talked. Maybe we should not be talking about him. Actually,
he did catch. Well, I think you have to talk about someone who's seeing a 30% target share like that. That's huge. He led the team in air yards. He caught a late touchdown. And also the Texans are so down bad that they're going to be constantly, and they have been, in these negative pass-heavy game scripts. It'll be good for fueling both offensive plays, routes, and targets. Collins and Philip Dorsett are basically the only guys running a route on every play with the Cooks out. So what I would say is you could do worse than Nico Collins.
Producer Adam points out, this is not a joke. The Texans are 17-point underdogs against the Cowboys. That is the largest spread of the entire season, I believe.
In league history or just the season?
Not in league history, but of the season. And I think we might see some pass attempts.
And really, okay, so you get 17. If you take that, you would not feel comfortable at all.
No.
You couldn't take the Texans. I would have to find a way to
steamed up, maybe like 18.5, maybe 19.5.
You find a way to tease the line up to 24.
Yeah.
and then you feel okay.
20.5, I would start to be like, maybe they backdoor a touchdown or 2 at the end. Oh my gosh. Adam points out that they're playing the Chiefs in week 15, the Texans.
It's gonna be like a spread against Missouri. No offense.
Hey, come on, man. Mizzou actually, not to brag, they were kind of covering machines this year.
Were they? Did I hear that they refused to play somebody in a bowl?
We don't want to talk about it. Sure. They may have refused to play Kansas, quote unquote.
Yeah. Why? Do they not like the state? What's going on?
Well, they're our old arch rival, and they're resuming the series officially soon. I think what happened is, bowl games have kind of. First off, we should have accepted the game. We should have taken the game. But bowls, have kind of become, they're always like glorified exhibitions. They're kind of just going like outright exhibitions now because of the transfer portal and players declaring for the draft. And I think Drink, as we call him, Coach Drink, Elia Drinkwitz, that is his real name, Denny, didn't want to like agree to play Kansas and ahead of like the official revival of the rivalry and have like something really dumb and weird happen in the bowl game, like say we get killed.
All right,
because we suck. But but yeah, by the way, we're covering machines this year. Mizzou is infamous for not covering in 2021, and then we just couldn't stop covering in 22 because that's what champions do.
And you know what? Covering puts spread on the table.
It does. It does.
It keeps a roof over your head.
It does. Speaking of keeping a roof over your head, I hear you would have been impoverished if DJ Chark had not had the best game of the season in Week 13, because it's the only reason I can think you want to talk about him. You want to talk about DJ?
Yes, thankfully. My kids are eating today because DJ Chark came through.
Sure, it's only soup, but
I think it works. He's fully back from an early season ankle injury. He ran a route on nearly every Lions drop back in Week 13 against the down bag Jaguars. He saw 6 targets. That was second behind only Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's like an air yards machine. He averaged 16.5 yards per target against the Jags. It's going to be volatile. Like rostering DJ Chark and starting him. I mean, you're going to have weeks where the guy sees 7 targets and catches 1 ball for 11 yards. Okay. But I would say my argument for DJ Chark would be he probably, as a wide receiver 4-ish in ranking wise, he probably has more upside than most wide receiver 3s, because of the nature of the downfield stuff he sees in that offense. Now, Jameson Williams maybe being more worked in. He was used as a run blocker or something this past week.
They probably want to use him as like a gunner or something.
Yeah, it's a curious way to start, but
very high T.
Jameson Williams, if he works into the lineup a little more, I think that's obviously not great for Chark, but for now, I think that he's okay in a Lions offense that's kind of leaned toward the pass a little bit the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think you can point chase with DJ Chark this week because it's a 53.5 total is the early line with Lions and Vikings. Vikings are a bad pass defense. The Lions have proven to be a very aggressive offense. And there, for some unknown reason, there are 6 teams on bye this week. So a lot of teams. The Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and Commanders, an abnormal amount of like non-fantasy relevant teams.
Right.
But still, the player pool much thinner this week. I think you can chase some points with DJ Chark against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, sure.
Chase Claypool, Denny, he got hurt yesterday, but he's like playing better or something.
Yeah, I mean, he sounds so excited. Yeah. So this is the first game without Darnell Mooney. Claypool ran a route on 23 of 29 dropbacks for the Bears. Saw 6.
Don't overdo it.
Saw 6 targets. That's not nothing. I mean, 6 targets in the Bears offense is like 24 targets.
Say how many yards he had.
We don't have to talk about the yards. I mean,
28.
We can stick with the peripheral stuff. It sounds better. He did hurt his knee. Looked like a serious injury. But
and they're on bye this week too.
Yeah, so. Right. I don't think he's like a priority ad, but he's definitely. So it's definitely Cole Kmet and then Claypool and then no one else in that offense as far as pass catchers go.
He might get dropped by a few teams this week because it's the final week of the fantasy regular season. Someone desperately trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they drop Chase Claypool, I think it would be a sensible. They're playing the Eagles in Week 15, which not a great matchup. But.
No, it's not. But I think it is one that will force the Bears to run a lot of plays. They're
really playing the Bills in Week 16. Man, when are they playing? Easy team here. Playing the Lions though in Championship Week 17.
I like that. Claypool, that sets up really well for all the Bears, I think.
Well, that total's gonna be really high. That could be like 54.5 actually. Lions, Bears, Week 17. 2 really bad defenses, 2 ascending offenses.
Yeah.
We could end the show, or we could talk about Desmond Ridder real quick. They're on bye this week too. Arthur Smith basically kind of admitted they were going to make the move.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't they? They're eliminated basically from playoff contention. Only 4 games left. He was a 3rd-round pick. They might have to draft another quarterback this year. Time to see what you have in the young man. I think you know what you have in Marcus Mariota, which is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, I actually don't even understand how they stuck with him this long.
I don't either. It's pretty painful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ritter is a super flex ad, but beyond that, I don't really see. It's just this offense is so fantasy unfriendly. It's just really hard to quantify exactly how bad it is, but like
I know.
it destroys all fantasy value. It destroys Cordell Patterson's. Yeah. I mean, there's just nothing to be had here. I thought that Tyler Algier would become a thing, but they've made sure to split up the carries and the snaps just enough to make him not a thing. Like,
it almost seems like they have an algorithm, like how to delineate the touches where no one gets fantasy value.
Yeah, I mean, if you were on a spectrum of fantasy friendly to fantasy unfriendly, where at the other end you have the Dolphins, you have the Seahawks. Like, and what I mean by that is like when
predictability.
When we know where the ball is going to go. Yeah, the Falcons on the other end by 10 miles, and I don't know unless Ritter runs a lot. But even Mariota's running a lot. Never mind. There's no pro Ritter argument.
No, I don't think he's very good either.
He's probably not good.
I don't think he's very good. This show was very good. And wait, it's not over though.
Come on.
I know. Sorry. Who's the kicker of the week for week 14?
I was going to call the lawyers immediately after. The show.
I know. I can't. I don't need legal on the phone for 24 hours. So tell me who the kicker of the week is.
Jason Sanders, available in 85% of leagues. He plays for the Dolphins, folks. The Dolphins are 1-point favorites over the Chargers this week in a game.
That's it? What?
Yeah.
You kidding?
I mean, I don't
know. Is this the same Chargers?
I know you're a Chargers hater.
I am a hater. No, they're not playing the Chargers. This is why.
They're not
playing the New England Patriots. Oh no, I'm looking at week 17. Sorry. No, sorry, I was looking at the wrong week.
I'm sorry. Okay, they're 1.5-point favorites.
No, they're not playing the Chargers. Wait, no, they are. I clicked on the wrong week again. I clicked on week 15.
Oh my god.
They're playing the Chargers, and they're not only are they playing the Chargers, Denny. They're doing it on NBC at 8.
I know.
On Sunday night. I promoted the game earlier in the show.
I thought I was losing my mind.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm fired.
So yes. But I will finish the show by saying that it's a game with a 51.5-point total. Sanders has not exactly been what we call a field goal machine. He's only averaging 1.5 attempts.
Yeah, because Mike McDaniel's too good of a coach. They don't kick field goals.
In Dolphins,
so how's he the kicker of the week?
It's true. They are aggressive in the red zone, and that does affect a kicker. But he fits the process well because the Chargers have given up the third most field goal tries this season, with every kicker to face the Chargers logging at least 2 attempts. So we have what we call a floor for Jason Sanders.
Wow, it sounds like a kicker funnel too. I didn't know that existed.
It does. It's a thing.
Kicker funnel defense. And yeah, I apologize for getting their opponent wrong. Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Really, a lot of times.
It was more than a normal amount of time, especially for a game that I had promoted earlier in the show.
Right. I'm looking at it like right here, and I'm going, wait, is this like week 18? And I forgot. Wait, I'm like,
it's week 69, Denny.
No.
Nevertheless. So for Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. You got to check out Denny's waiver wired column on Tuesday. Got to check out my rankings later in the week. Check out the podcast coming up with Mr. Lawrence Jackson and Kyle Dvorchik and myself. Keep it locked on the website all week. There'll be a lot of news updates for a lot of injured players. So for Denny, I'm Pat. Thanks for listening. We'll be back later.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.